Hello and welcome to Superpower Broadcasting. I'm Kevin Castley. Happy Halloween. Tonight we've got Jaeger DePato joining us. How's it going, Jaeger?
It's going well.
Yeah.
Tonight on Halloween, we have the nuke pill, we have the hawk pill, and I'd like to deliver the drone pill.
Yeah, so we were talking about drones before we went off air. Basically, I just wanted to do like a fairly short, hopefully under an hour kind of stream because I did a really long stream last night, but talking about some of the spooky stuff that really kind of frightens like Jank and Kyle and Jimmy and Abby Martin and all those clowns. So yeah, we're going to talk about drones and stuff. So Jaeger, you've got the floor if you want to talk about drones, because that's something we haven't really talked about on the channel very much. So,
all right. So, like from this Armenian Azerbaijan's filming drone strikes in HD, and they're showing the targets, and they have a couple drones. One's the TB2 from Turkey, which launches missiles, but they also have the Harop drone, which is a kamikaze drone from Israel. But where this is going to lead is eventually on the battlefield, since it's Halloween, AI drones. So like drones that can go up on the battlefield and make decisions on their own that don't have to be guided by a drone operator.
Yeah, that's pretty spooky. Like that's the stuff of like the horror films from back in the day and everything, right? I mean, autonomous drones. That how do you counter that? Like there's no command and control center. They do their thing. They do their thing.
Yeah, like traditional warfare against drones, you try to jam their signal, but a lot of them are tied to satellites. There's the Turkish satellite, the Chinese satellites, but there's some like the Israel Harop that aren't tied to a satellite, and they have a certain radius, like 50 kilometers, 60 kilometers. But if you have an AI drone that loiters or goes around, there's no satellite connection. I mean, if you don't get electronic warfare on it, it's going to make decisions of its own.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. How, like, do you know much on like what kind of time frame we could be looking at those entering service in the world's militaries? Because the whole meme about the drones these days is like, oh, there's an operator in like a cushy bunker somewhere, and they don't really have to deal with the actual realities of war or whatever. But pretty soon, they're not even going to have that control bunker. So,
Yeah, I would say probably in the next 5 to 10 years, depending on how technology develops. I know COVID's going to put a damper on that. Like, yeah, I could, because there's going to be a drone race because Turkey and Azerbaijan have these on high depth, and the whole world is watching them strike position, strike armor, and they destroyed an S-300 from Russia, their air defense, like their second level. And so, like, Ukraine's like, oh, give us some of those because we're fighting the Russians.
Yeah.
And then Russia's going to develop some, China's going to develop some, America already probably has developed some, so it's a race. And the other thing, like drone swarms. So like you kind of like if North Korea gets 2,000 nukes, they launch them all at America. But imagine that with like 2,000 drones. So even if you have an air defense, like trying to shoot them down, you're not going to shoot down all 2,000.
You're talking about like miniaturized drones, right? Not like where they're each carrying like Hellfire missiles and stuff, or do you mean actual full-size drones in like just swarms?
Yeah, they could be actually full-size drones. Like that Harop system from Israel, I want to say carries about 25 drones in it, and it's launched off of the side of a truck. And so a bunch of those set up, and those are the kamikaze drones. And so like they fly around, they loiter around the battlefield, pick up heat signatures, and then dive bomb and hit their target.
Yeah, that's that's a new generation of warfare right there. I mean, it's just drones versus drones at that point. What do you think is really the best counter to autonomous drones then? Because if electrical or electronic jamming isn't really going to be effective, what's air defense going to transition towards? Because right now it's mostly just like you say, like the S-300s, S-400s. that kind of type of system where it's designed to shoot down an actual airplane, right? So
See, that's the tough things. You'd want some sort of missile system that's guided that could pick up either they don't produce that much heat, that much noise, but could pick up their signal and hit them, which means you're going to move to smaller rockets or even smaller like ammunition, but ammunition flies too fast, so you're going to want something slower. And electronics is going to be the best way to go there.
Gotcha. We got Zayas in the chat. He says it seems like autonomous drones would still be less effective than human manned ones. Look at AI driving cars. Amazing that it's possible, but still fatally flawed and decades from perfection. But if we're 5 to 10 years out from these things actually being effective, though, it's possible. Do you think it's possible that we'll have drones that are effective before we get like cars and stuff that are effective in that sense?
I would say yes, probably. Cars, there's a lot of different elements that go in there. Drones, they'll fly up. Depends on how they're designed. Like if they're kamikaze drones designed to find a target and eliminate the target, I can see those. But like drones with like targeting with missiles, I think that's going to take a little bit longer.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's kind of scary stuff. I mean, because obviously, we would hope that America's probably on the cutting edge, that Israel's on the cutting edge of this stuff. But the worry is what happens when Russia and China catch up. That's not good. So,
well, yeah, because China produces them cheaper than everybody else.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, then the world will have China as the leading arms dealer, and they wouldn't exactly sell to countries that are friendly to America.
That's right. We got Arthur in the chat. He says, Ghoulie Ghoul Gang. And we got Olympian God. He says, Happy Halloween, Hawks. Happy Halloween, everybody. We got the orange lighting in the background and everything now. We got Jaeger here. We're talking about drones. It's spooky stuff. And Shank Uger and those guys, they're spooked, We got the Deep State. We got the Ghoul Gang. We got these guys.
The other drone that's actually pretty cool, but it's also in a bomb form, is called a ninja bomb. Where it's a drone. It could be guided by a drone, or it could be shot as kind of a bomb, and it works kind of like a broadhead and an arrow. So you could fire it where there's civilians in close proximity and shoot your target because it has blades on it without harming the civilians like a regular warhead would do.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. I'm just looking it up right now. We got articles on it from about a year ago talking about this. Secret U.S. missile aims to kill only terrorists, not nearby civilians. Oh, you know what? That would trigger Kyle and Jimmy and all those anti-war folks even more, because right now they complain constantly about the collateral damage, but they're not doing that because they care about innocent civilians and stuff. They just do that as a way to say F you America. But imagine there was no collateral damage. Oh, their talking points would be so much weaker. They would be so bad, man, if you could make it so that collateral damage was like even more reduced, right? That's
but they're like some of the images of people being hit with those, they are extremely like graphic. Like it's like being shot with a large arrow.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I hope that these things, I hope that they invest a lot more money into making these work, because, I mean, if we could just get rid of collateral damage from warfare, can you imagine that? You just go in and you just take out these guys and they can't use their human shields that they cling to. Like Hamas would be screwed, man. That would be based. So.
Yeah, and it would put more of a precedent on intelligence gathering as well, because you want to hit the right target.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the issues with asymmetric warfare, is they hide in the civilian population.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can have your undercover agents there, which the CIA, which all the lefties hate the CIA, but the CIA's there marking targets, and all of a sudden the ninja drones come down.
The spooks targeting the ninja drones. That sounds that would trigger the likes of Kyle and Jimmy and Shank quite a bit, and Max Blumenthal and Ben Norton and everything. They'd be like, "No, how dare you not kill any civilians?" Basically, that's imperialism. You're just they. I know what they would call it. They would say that you're sanitizing warmongering by making it so that innocent civilians don't die in the process. That's what they would say. They would find some way to call America a bloodthirsty warmonger if America was able to get rid of innocent civilians dying in war. Like, that they would do it. They would totally do that.
And it's only the case because Russia and North Korea can't afford the weapons. Or Venezuela. They'll want to level the playing field for their friends because the United States is the enemy. America
bad. USA bad. They literally call the CIA. They call them spooks. Oh, man. We got Zayas here. He says, China will just steal our drones like everything else. Yeah, I mean, they do just copy everything, right? So...
Yeah, but it'll fall apart during use. Just like anything else you buy from China, after one use, it's pretty much done.
It's tough. That's true. That's true. They'll make it from lesser grade materials. It'll be a rough copy. I mean, Olympian God says, Kevin, I'm disappointed you didn't dress up as a Hawk or Ronald Reagan. Yeah, I should have gone as Reagan tonight. That would have been pretty spooky. So, yeah.
Or Bush.
Or Bush. That's right. Well, you know what? I could just put Bush over my head here. There's Bush. I'm Bush now. There we go. That's my cheap ass substitute for actually having a costume. It's like China's drone knockoffs. Just do an overlay and say, "Oh, it's me."
Yeah, it's close enough. Yeah.
There was a video making the rounds on Facebook recently of like SpongeBob SquarePants, where it's like the U.S. and China just copying. Well, China constantly copying the United States. It's pretty funny. I don't actually have that clip anymore. But yeah, no, they just copy everything. The Russians copy US stuff too. Everybody just copies whatever America's doing. So
we should make a drone that looks like Winnie the Pooh.
Oh man, do I have any Winnie the Pooh memes in here? I'm not sure. I don't think I have any right now. I haven't talked about Xi Jinping in a while. We've got this communist though, so there's that. That's basically Winnie the Pooh right there. There's Takey Tulsi. Oh man, Suzuki made this one. This one's really good. Have you seen this meme yet?
I haven't.
It's really good. My favorite part about it is he's got the presidents and everything. He's got obviously some F-15s and stuff, but look at what he's got in the top of it. He's got pills, red and blue, with a hawk on them. He made hawk pills for the meme. It's pretty good. So it's kind of meta.
Yeah. Olympian God says even our aircraft carriers. If I made our aircraft carriers and put Winnie the Pooh on there.
Yeah. Oh man.
And
their versions are crap and not as capable. 100%. Like they did a knockoff of a 1980 Soviet aircraft carrier. Literally. That's. Oh man.
I mean, if they make it cheap enough, I imagine there's a market for it.
That's right. Yeah. And they're enabling North Korea getting these things right now. So are the Russians. North Korea is probably a ways away from having autonomous drones, which is good. But yeah.
Yeah, and building one so big that it could carry a nuclear bomb is probably way, way away. Because, yeah, any Air Force is a good defense against drones. I know I brought up electronic warfare, but unless it's a drone swarm, because drones are a lot slower than any aircraft.
That's true. What about the drone swarms? Like, is there any like additional characteristics to them, or because they cluster, right? But when you say a swarm, you don't necessarily mean that they're like in physical close proximity. You just mean that they function as a similar unit. Is that it, or do they actually stay close together?
Well, essentially, you're just going to launch as many or a ton of drones, so then the air support can't take them all out, so some get through.
Okay.
So you're overloading the defensive systems in order for some to get through and hit some of the targets. And like with the kamikazes, you would target the air defense systems. And so if your swarm knocks those out, then you can advance with either air support or your own infantry.
Gotcha. So what's the cost like on a swarm, though? Because those things have to be prohibitively expensive to like everybody except the United States at this point, right?
It depends on, like, for like military style, like the Turkish TB2s, 5 million, Chinese drones 2 million. So they're not too expensive. But even ISIS back in 94, 95 started to use like commercial drones, like your Walmart drones, and they would attach a mortar or grenade to it with a release mechanism and drop it. So like if it's those Walmart cheap drones, that you can get for $200, you buy a bunch of those and connect a mortar or grenade to it or an IED, and like you can do drone warfare for pretty cheap, as we saw with ISIS.
Right.
But you're limited with the cheaper drones as far as like your distance. Like you have to get closer. It doesn't have the battery or the lifespan.
That's true. Not very big range with those things. That Zayas says we should just launch thousands of Winnie the Pooh balloons over Beijing, like the ones in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade, to psychologically demoralize them. Just Winnie the Pooh balloons. Yeah, they would call that. They would probably call that an active bourgeois imperialist aggression, because Winnie the Pooh is banned in China because it offends the dignity of the great leader. So,
at least China Ping, he doesn't target people for drawing cartoons of him, unlike some religions around the world.
Yeah, I mean, you can get in trouble for like posting Winnie the Pooh stuff in China, but yeah, it's not even close. Not even close to what we've been seeing lately. That's just ridiculous. The fact that there are people out there that will literally say, "Oh yeah, but like there are fundamentalist Christians too," as if it's anywhere near comparable. It's not even close. Like, show me Christians that are doing anything near what the kind of stuff we've been seeing from a particular religion lately. I mean,
yeah, I mean, there's some parts of the world, I think, like Central America, South America, the Golden Triangle, some parts in Africa where there are some horrific acts committed by Christians, but True. It's not like they're going into France and targeting people for insulting the religion. It's more like the conflict within the area.
That's true. Like Coney, that guy, he was Christian and stuff, but like, and a lot of those warlords tend to be Christian. But I just mean in terms of international terrorism, where are the Christian terrorists? Like, where is that?
Yeah, there's. I don't think there's been some in quite a while. I know in the 80s and 90s there were some, but as far as like for the last little while, there hasn't been much. It's pretty much the one religion that has the niche on the market right now. And also like some of the ethno-nationalists as well.
Right. We got Olympian God here. He says, daily reminder that the B-52s are so badass that they will still be in service until the 2050s, making their service life almost 100 years. That's right. They may even get extended past that. Imagine you'll be flying a plane that's been in service for a century, drop bombs on the communists in Vietnam, probably drop some nukes in the tests and like Dominic and stuff like that, and they'll still be flying. That's crazy. Those planes are, beasts. They're a beautiful beast. So.
Yeah, they are a beautiful beast, but I'm more prone to the AC-130.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
AC-130 is cool.
Death from Above. I think those will be in service for quite a while. They may upgrade like the weaponry, but yeah, that
Yeah,
style of plane for ground support, I don't think you could do much better.
that's right. I mean, they even use those for like transportation stuff in Antarctica and everything. Like they're very versatile. Um, the galaxies are really cool too. Those things are huge. Like um, some of the refueling planes have been in service for a very long time as well. But
And that's one of the advantages that America has. America has a really good Navy and a really good Air Force. And as long as they keep those two things up, like they'll never get the America, Canada, potentially like Mexico, because I don't think either America or Canada care too much about Mexico, and it could be invaded from the south. But as far as like a foreign power trying to come over and conquer America, as long as America has their Air Force and their Navy, I don't see that being the case.
yeah, not to mention the strategic deterrence. I mean, America's got the second biggest number of nukes in service right now. So even if you did get through to actually land on U.S. shores or whatever, there'd be a retaliation against their home territory. Like the only countries that could really pull off an invasion against the United States right now would be China and Russia. They're the only two that I could think of. You know, because like North Korea could launch missiles at America, but they're not going to land troops on American shores. So
Now, it would probably be more Russia and China, in my opinion, because of the Alaska route. But
right,
even still, logistically, Russia getting enough equipment without us seeing it over to the little Bering Strait is probably going to be pretty rough.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it wouldn't work out for them either. I mean, I think that conflict with communist China is inevitable at this point if severe economic actions aren't taken to destroy the regime before they can start a war. Russia, on the other hand, I don't really think that there's an inevitable conflict with them. I think that they will attack Europe and they'll get more belligerent in Europe, but I don't think that Putin or probably any of the people that have a serious chance of succeeding him would actually attack the United States first. So, you know,
Yeah, and I think if Russia did do something, it would be like, oh, well, these Chechen separatists ended up in America and started performing acts similar to what were in France. Like, that seems like Russia's main thing right now is either
that's
the
right.
Wagner group or some random Chechens all of a sudden show up or poisoning.
Yeah, that's right. Little green men, that kind of thing. I mean, it would be obvious though. I think that they'll start with Europe. I don't even know that Russia has that much of an interest in actually taking the United States anytime soon. I think that they just want to control Eurasia and they want to weaken NATO and whatnot.
Yeah,
Oh man. Yeah, Olympian God says sad thing is the B1s will be retired sooner. Yeah, those planes are awesome. The B1s are lit.
and the thing about NATO's probably in the future is probably going to collapse at some point. Because you have kind of animosity between different parties. Like right now, it's France and Turkey,
Yeah.
but Turkey's not alone in NATO with the way they support things. Like it would be one thing if it was just Turkey as an offshoot, but there are countries in NATO that support Turkey and have good relations with Turkey.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and Russia's going to have a hard time being a threat in the near future. I think Turkey will surpass them at some point because both economies are going downhill. But I think Russia is going downhill much faster than Turkey is.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I agree that I don't think that NATO will probably survive into the long future because I think that NATO is going to be tested, and not just in terms of internal divisions, but I think there's going to be a big enough security threat that's going to necessitate some sort of response. And if the countries in NATO kind of just let it slide, they're going to realize that American defense doesn't really mean that much. So I think of like an example where North Korea attacks the South, takes the South, and America doesn't do anything because they don't want to get nuked. I could see NATO falling apart after that because a lot of the countries in Eastern Europe are going to realize that American security guarantees don't really mean anything if you can blackmail America with nukes. So then they'll basically try to get on good terms with Russia. That's kind of what I see happening. That's one of the reasons why I think that North Korea has to be stopped before they call America's bluff, because they're even a hawkish president in America won't commit to losing a bunch of their cities in order to defend South Korea. So
yeah, and that's actually like happened before. So like, because I've been covering or watching the Azerbaijan-Armenia conflict, kind of research some of these old alliances. So Azerbaijan, when they first got their independence, they wanted to maintain balance between East and West. And then 2008, the Georgia Wars happened, and the West did not step in to help Georgia.
Yeah.
So Azerbaijan's like, oh shit, well, we got to have good relations with Russia so they don't create a separatist community in the north of our border. And so that kind of thing has kind of happened before. It's like, these conflicts, they pop up, Crimea, Transnistria, all these conflicts kind of pop up. And when the West does nothing to help out the people of these countries, they have to look somewhere else for support.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? I don't blame them. You do the same thing. I'd do the same thing if I was in charge over there, right? Because the world is anarchic. There's no world police you can call. If America doesn't step in, if the West doesn't step in, and you didn't plan for that contingency, then you're screwed, right? So they're smart to learn from what happened in Georgia. And I think that showed what kind of weakness can happen, right? I mean, the Georgian conflict right there. I mean, Russia kind of took the West to the cleaners with that. They're still in northern Georgia right now. After all this time, it's been 12 years. So
yeah, 2 spots in Georgia. Yeah. And then 3 spots in Ukraine. And then 1 spot in Moldova.
That's right. They've got Transnistria in Moldova. They've got Luhansk and Donetsk and Crimea in Ukraine. And they've got South Ossetia and Abkhazia in Georgia. And the West let them get away with it. It's profoundly weak. Because Russia was far weaker at the time when that happened too, right? I mean, you can argue economically they've been pretty weak since about 2014, but militarily they're stronger now than they were 20 years ago. Like nobody would question that. They're stronger now than they were 12 years ago. So
yeah, and we let them have Syria as well.
That's right. That's right. That's embarrassing. Obama drew a red line. Assad called his bluff. And then Obama's like, oh, well, what am I supposed to do? And the people around him are like, dude, you drew a red line. And he's like, yeah, but I didn't mean it. Dude, that's embarrassing, man. He got basically called out by Putin. And Putin came in and he's like, oh, I can make a peace deal. So weak, man.
And because America didn't get involved, so Iran, Russia, and then Turkey's like, well, since America's not doing anything, we want a little bit of piece of Syria as well.
That's right.
And so rather than America going in a war they should have done in combination with the Iraq war, is go into Syria and hunt down some of these ISIS cells in Syria, as well as cleaning up Iraq at the time. They didn't. And now, you have ISIS cells in Syria. You have the Assad government who's killed countless numbers of civilians. You have the Turks that are coming in and killing civilians now. And it's just a complete mess because we didn't want to get involved in another war.
That's right. War bad. That's basically it. What a mess. What an absolute mess. I do want to take a look at the chat though. Olympian God says, yeah, it sucks because there were no supersonic bombers. Would be no supersonic bombers. They will be replaced by the new B-21s, which I'm excited for. Well, the B-21 looks really cool, but Olympian God says, isn't Russia panicking because they have a problem with their birth rates? Essentially, they would lose population in the future. Russia has a problem, if you can call it a problem, with birth rates. I think that birth rates are over-exaggerated in terms of warfare. They obviously have a more technologically capable military than, say, China or a lot of the other countries in the area. but um, but I think that a bigger problem for them, probably in the long run, than even the birth rates, is that people don't want to stay in Russia. So even if they had a somewhat normal birth rate over there, the people that they're going to give birth to are going to leave and go to the West. That's, brain drain, right? Because it sucks to live in Russia. I mean, the only people defending Russia that you see are Westerners that have never been there. So.
Yeah, they just need to sick Kadmirov on their population. He has like 13 kids already, so he's
man.
Just spread that Chechen. Yeah, they
right.
They could do some stuff on immigration too, because some of Central Asia, the Uzbeks, the Kazakhs, could immigrate to the country as well. But yeah, as far as like the people living mostly in Russia, they kind of want to get out because everything's so corrupt.
That's right. And they're a very chauvinistic country. I don't really see Russia post 1990s as being that welcoming of Central Asian immigrants. Like it's a pretty, racially chauvinistic sort of society. You could argue maybe it was a bit more back in the 90s than it is today, but you can also argue maybe that'll change due to economics and whatnot. That remains to be seen. But we got Natalie here. Happy Halloween, Natalie. How's it going? She says, "Oh yeah, it's the 31st. Haven't been keeping up with the day too much. Yeah, I've been pretty busy today too. So, she was in the hospital for a couple of days. Lost track of time. Oh well, that sucks. I hope you feel better. So, yeah."
Now, did you see that video? It's been going around with Cenk Uygur and Anna arguing about Armenia and Azerbaijan.
No, I saw a clip on Twitter. I haven't seen the whole thing, but if you can give us all a summary, that'd be pretty cool.
So basically, Anna defends like the U.S. or the West getting involved to defend Armenia, and then Cenk pretty much denies that there's any wrong action by Azerbaijan. Which the Armenian diaspora is accusing him, because he was an Armenian genocide denier, that he's denying the genocide that's going on. And so you're seeing kind of this infighting. But I thought it was interesting that she would defend U.S. intervention there. But, I mean, she is an ethnic Armenian, but you kind of see kind of like, well, if it's something I'm attached to, then okay. But if it's anybody else, you know what? Fuck all those other people. But
oh yeah, like to hell with the Iraqi people, but Armenians, okay, I guess we should intervene there. What a disgrace. I don't. Wow. I mean, obviously, Cenk, who's worse in that particular case? Because you got Cenk, who's defending Turkey. Then you got Anna, who only cares here because it's like her people, I guess, as she sees it. It's embarrassing. We all know if this was Iraq or something and Saddam was being a butcher in Iraq, we know her stance. Her stance is, oh, but it's okay because they don't have nukes, bro. That's her stance.
Yep. And it's just something that's full circle. It's 2020, so you see people kind of making contradictions of their previous position. Endless wars, but unless it's my people involved.
Oh yeah, then we're good, I guess.
Yeah. Or
what a goofball.
Yeah. They're like, oh, they're trying to commit genocide. We should get involved. It's like, well, what was Saddam doing in Iraq? He was trying to commit genocide.
No, but you don't understand, Jaeger. Those are Iraqis, and like Iraqis aren't people, so they can't be genocide against them. But Armenians, they're people, so there can be genocide against them. And you got Cenk who's like, no, there can't be, because like the only Turks are people. What a mess.
Well, it's always funny when she like goes out and defends these Armenian issues, because she works for the Young Turks, the group that committed the Armenian genocide.
That's right. I always think of it as like, imagine if you had like a female co-host who's, I think, like Jewish, working at a huge online media publication called the Hitler Youth. And then she gets asked about, like, why do you work at the Hitler Youth? And she's like, it's just a name. It's just a name. They don't deny the Holocaust. It's just a name. Because that was the defense. It's like, no, we don't deny the genocide. It's just a name, bro. They literally took the name of the group that perpetrated the genocide. It's like, oh yeah, part of the Hitler Youth. Or I mean, well, the Hitler Youth didn't even do the Holocaust. Let's say it'd be like, oh yeah, it's like you have an ethnically Jewish female co-host of a huge progressive online news outlet called the SS. And you're like, the SS, what does that stand for? And it's like, oh yeah, Schutzstaffel or whatever. It's like, wait, weren't those the guys that like did like the fundamentalist, true believer Nazi dudes who like took what the Wehrmacht was doing and like took it to like the max? And like, oh yeah, but it's just a name, bro. We're not like Nazis or anything.
You know what's really funny about their justification is all of the like justification, all the points are like politicians used it. I think Bruce Springsteen wrote a song about it. All of that happened after the Armenian genocide while people were denying the Armenian genocide. So like they're using people who either had no knowledge or straight up denied the genocide to justify using the name that apparently to them has no connotation with the Armenian genocide, even though the people that used it in the past used it for the Young Turks group in Turkey, which was a revolutionary progressive group that wanted to get rid of the monarchy in Turkey. But they also didn't like any people who weren't Turkish. There were Assyrians, there were Greeks, Armenians, and they tried to genocide them all.
Yeah. What a mess. Yeah, imagine unironically naming your channel the Young Turks. And he named it that when he was defending the or I guess he was denying the genocide.
Yeah, which his explanation for denial is actually believable because like in Turkey, where he grew up, they do control like the media, they control the doctrine that goes in the schools. So it wouldn't have been something he would have ever heard of until he moved to America and started talking with people with Armenians because, you know, it's so controlled there in the education system that it wouldn't have ever been something that would have been brought up when he was growing up. So like his explanation for not realizing what it was is actually legit because, I mean, if you're in Turkey, you're raised in Turkey, you're going to be raised without that knowledge.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's true.
But I mean, calling for an American football team to change its name because it's offensive and then not changing your own name when it shares the name with a genocide.
That's right. He's done that with regards to the Washington Redskins and constantly called on them to change the name. But the elephant in the room is that he won't change the name of his own channel. So, you know.
You know, it could be a real simple fix because RT used to be Russian Today or Russian Times, one of those two.
That's right.
They just changed it to RT. Like
they were Russia Today. Yeah.
He could literally just change it to TYT and just be like, it just stands for TYT.
Yeah. You could do that. That's true because they got all the merch and everything. You could do that. I mean, it's tough because the longer you wait, the harder it is and the more expensive it is to rebrand. But TYT, yeah, just say it's TYT like Russia Today did. So that's true. That's a good point.
But I mean, it's 2020. It's Halloween. I think we got to get some more nuclear talk up in here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I was kind of annoyed because I've been doing the tweet series on YouTube, the Daily Nuke, where I'm going through every U.S. nuclear test. 4 in a row, I couldn't find any footage of. And I know what it is. It's that a lot of the film was left to rot after they were done with the tests and the analysis. But you're like, imagine spending all those billions of dollars to do the test, to have all the high-speed cameras. They had cameras back in the 50s that they invested in that could do 10 million frames per second. And they got all the film and everything. And then they kept the film in bunkers and stuff, except that they didn't preserve it. They just left it to rot. And it wasn't until very recently that the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory has been actually processing the film and digitizing it and everything. And you're like, wait, what a waste. Why would you spend all that money and everything? Like, I understand it had military applications and stuff, but I mean, obviously the film was going to be valuable, but they didn't take care of it, and it sucks. So there's 4 tests there that there's no footage of anymore. So there you go. But that's disappointing there. But We can talk about other spooky stuff with like the nukes. Like there's this one here. Obviously, Reese. So Reese has rebranded his channel now as a reference to the whole Liz debate. He's Spooky Nukies now. So,
so last I checked, I haven't looked at nuclear weapons for a little while, but last time I looked, they were getting smaller and smaller. Is that still the case, or are they ramping up and starting to make bigger bombs now?
Well, if we're talking about the U.S. and Russia, they've gotten smaller and smaller. The biggest in the U.S. arsenal now is a variable yield B-61 bomb that can do up to 1.5 megatons. So obviously a far cry from what they used to have in service. They back in the 50s actually had a 25 megaton bomb that was never tested at full yield that they had in in B-52s ready to go. So they used to field 25 megaton bombs that were deployed. Now 1.5 megaton. They're more accurate now than they used to be, though. So the idea is that, you prefer accuracy and lower yields. It's obviously cheaper to make a lower yield bomb, that kind of stuff. North Korea, on the other hand, they're probably going to have pretty big thermonuclear bombs once they start them, I think, because they don't have that accuracy yet. And they'll want to intimidate America more. And for them and for everybody in the world knowing that their stuff isn't necessarily that accurate, having the ability to say, oh, look, we can miss you by 12 or 13 kilometers, but we'll still wipe out your city, that kind of idea. That they're going to be the first ones to really bring back, I think, competing on high yields, because Pakistan and India never really did that. Iran, obviously, they're just trying to get an A-bomb right now. Israel, we don't really know what they have. France and the UK, they're in a similar trend. China's a little bit different. China, I haven't actually really looked too much into their nuclear arsenal. They claim to be accurate with the new DF-41 missiles. They claim that those are accurate to within 100 meters at, I think it's 12,000 kilometer range. I don't know if I believe that because it's made in China, but but the North Koreans, for sure, they're going to bring back like the Tsar-Bomba type style where you want to spook the enemy. So you make your stuff 50 megatons, because even if people doubt your accuracy, you mean like, hey man, we can miss by 30 kilometers and you'll still lose your city, that kind of thing. So
yeah, and that's one of the idiotic things for North Korea to do, because physics, if it's going to weigh a little bit more, it's going to be slower.
That's right.
Unless you put a lot more into it. And even with the ICBMs, I imagine that we could see them launch and then hopefully launch some sort of, whether it's Air Force or whether it's Scud missile or some other missile system, because that thing right there is probably going to be very slow.
They're slow in their boost phase. You're right. Like that a lower yield warhead. Well, it depends on because some of the U.S. ones and some of the Russian ones have a heavy payload too if they're loaded up with MIRVs and countermeasures. But let's say that they are launching one of these with a one, not necessarily that miniaturized H-bomb on board. Yeah, it's going to be heavy. It's a heavy missile in and of itself. It's like the largest ICBM in the world. It's going to take time to get into orbit. But once it's, or not orbit, but once it's in the space, once it's in the post-boost phase, they all travel right around the same speed, because they can't go any faster than about 7 to 8 kilometers a second. Because if they go any faster than that, they're looking at escape velocity and they won't be falling back to Earth. So they have to limit the speed of all countries so that, it stays on a ballistic trajectory. And then obviously in the terminal phase, they're all limited by the reheating in the atmosphere. So the only issue in terms of the speed of it is just getting it up into the post-boost phase. You're right that it would have a longer time getting up into that territory, in the upper stratosphere and everything. The problem is that phase occurs over their territory. So that's the hardest to hit, right? You have to have assets nearby that are ready to go, expecting a launch to take them out. you don't really have that much of a range either. And once it's in the post boost phase, it's basically like any other ICBM at that point. So, it's going to be traveling the same speed, and obviously they're not going to fire one or two or a couple hundred, well, maybe a couple hundred down the road, but no, they want the ability to overwhelm American air defenses, American ground-based defenses. So they're never going to fire like 5 or 6 of these things at the United States. If they ever went to a war with the United States, they would have, like I've said before, probably 1,500 to 2,000 nukes available at that point. They're not going to do it right now. They're just gearing up. So we still have a window of opportunity to deal with them. But those missiles there on the screen right now, the tail that carries it, that's 11 axles. That's the biggest in the world. The missile's the biggest. It's got 16,000 kilometer range. They can hit all of U.S. cities. The only thing that remains to be seen at this point is how accurate is it. But again, once they get thermonuclear bombs, does the accuracy really matter that much? Because it's not like anybody's going to be missing by like 500 kilometers. It's within a reasonable area. Like, I would highly doubt that this thing was completely inaccurate, that they couldn't even get it to within, a few dozen kilometers of the target. Would they be able to effectively take out U.S. silos with that? No, but they're going to get it better. They're going to figure out that stuff. The Russians, they used to be inaccurate, and now they're a lot more accurate. Same with America. People have made fun of them before and speculated, is the CIA causing their rockets to blow up when they test them? No, because American rockets blew up when they tested them too. They would film it on live television and stuff, and it would be an embarrassment. Every country goes through those growing pains. North Korea is almost through all that stuff. The hard part for North Korea now, the challenge for them is just mass produce the bombs and mass produce the missiles. But that's easier than getting them in the first place. So, because they know what they're doing now. Now they just need more quantity. What a pathetic position to be in, by the way. Because this means that Bill Clinton dropped the ball. It means that George Bush dropped the ball. It means Obama dropped the ball. And it means that Trump has dropped the ball. So that's 4 presidents in a row that knew that North Korea was serious about getting nukes. And they haven't done anything. I don't think anybody's going to do anything about them. I think we're just going to accept North Korea as a status quo power until they got enough nukes to start a war. And then they'll blackmail the United States. That's my prediction. So,
yeah, I think our only hope at this point is some of the parts are made in China and they break in flight, which would be the most North Korea thing ever, to have it blow up in Pyongyang.
No, I mean, I wish, but realistically speaking, if they're firing 1,500 of these at America and 20% of them blow up on launch and 40 of them get shot down by American ballistic missile defenses, you're still looking at losing every city and a ton of your bases and stuff. So that's what they're going for. And by then, they'll probably work out those kinks and stuff. And a lot of this stuff, actually, it's the tells came from China, but a lot of the missile stuff actually comes from Russia, though. And the Russians know what they're doing more than the Chinese do when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Because it's Russian scientists helping them, not Chinese scientists. So they won't brag about that. They claim to do everything on their own. BS. They don't do everything on their own. They
don't have anybody educated in their country.
They're like, what's a computer thingy? What's that do?
Yeah, I mean, they have a hard enough time producing food.
I like this one by KGM. He says, North Korea aims for LA, hits Winnipeg. Yeah, no, they're not going to be that inaccurate. Like, the question is getting it to within a few kilometers of the target. If they're at that point, then yeah, somebody screwed up. But, people have speculated too that these things are fake, that they're not even the real missiles, that they're just mock-ups. I'm like, yeah, but people have said that about every missile that they've ever displayed. We know that every missile that they've displayed before was real because they tested them, and a lot of them work. So these might be mock-ups, but don't be surprised when they test an actual one of these in like a year or less. Because why aren't they doing testing right now? I'll tell you why they're not doing testing right now, because they're saving up all their new stuff so that when a new American president comes into power and starts calling them out or whatever, they can do a show of force. They don't want to do a show of force against Trump because they like Trump. He's their boy, right? So they know that with him, they get time. So they're just building up stuff right now. They'll test it to make a point to a new president. So that's my speculation. And Trump actually used that as an argument in his favor during the debate. He said, hey, man, under me, they haven't really done much testing or anything. And I'm like, yeah, that's because they're not trying to anger you. They're happy that you're in power. And he bragged about that. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, there's no level he won't go. He'll brag.
Well, he said he wrote beautiful love letters to Kim. Literally, those words. He used those words. What a goofball! What a goofball!
And he's like, "Oh, I haven't started any new wars." And I'm like, "Is the world a safer place or a worse place?" I seem to think it's a worse place than what it was.
Compare the world today to what it was in the 90s. It's so much more violent, so much more dangerous. America is so much less power relative to the world at this point. This isn't the time for a leader who's going to be like, I didn't start any wars. No, we're going to have a huge war if we keep getting leaders like this in power that let our enemies just build up and gear up. So, because the war happens either way, right? So, the question is who wins.
Yeah, war is inevitable, and it has been pretty much inevitable throughout all of human existence.
That's right. That's right. No, there's going to be like this idea, like, oh, can we avoid World War III? No, there's going to be a World War III. The question is who wins. That's the only question. So, oh, we got Billy Bong here. He says, "What up, ghouls of fools?" Oh man, yeah. No, I'll send a link to Billy if Billy's got some time to come in and we do a swaggy stream with Billy Bong. That'd be dope.
But yeah, I mean, with the advancement of military equipment, at least Trump puts money into the military, which would be a concern if I was worried about somebody like Senator Sanders being president, because then the military would be cut, and then all of a sudden all these weapons across the earth, because it's not like if the United States stops selling arms, it's not like people are going to stop buying arms. Other countries are going to fill that niche.
That's right.
The United States leaves behind. And a lot of times it's not just the United States, it's contractors. Like in Canada shut down arms to Azerbaijan, but it wasn't Canada directly selling it to him. It was a arms dealer in Canada selling arms to Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's always going to be a niche for arms, and you can either make a choice, either you start selling arms and providing arms, or let somebody else do it.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, we got some trolls in the chat. Billy says he can't do it for another 40 minutes. I don't think I'm going to go that long, though. I did a long stream last night with Reese. Everybody go check that out. That was a long stream. Went like 4 hours.
No wonder I had bad internet last night.
That's right. We were talking about that because Reese kind of had bad internet, too. And he's like, oh, is Jaeger trying to use the internet?
Yeah, I can only handle one of us at a time.
That's right. That's right. Oh, man. Yeah, W.R. Winters here. Happy Halloween. Happy Spookvember. Yeah, because it never stops. Olympic God says, talking about nukes. The U.S. is developing a new ICBM manufactured by Northrop Grumman. Awesome. Also, the U.S. is developing a new nuclear warhead. Yeah, no, that's cool. We're going to have a nuclear engineering student who's going to come on, and he's going to go over some nuclear physics and that kind of stuff for the gang in the chat. So if you guys got any questions for a guy who actually studies this stuff, we'll do a question and answer period. So at the end of the interview, we'll have 2 interviews with him coming. So that'll be fun.
And then Henry's Burners in the chat.
That's right. That's right. We got Henry Sock right here right now. So. Jaeger and Reese are deciding this whole election. That's right. That's right.
Well, be prepared for Kanye West. New president.
Kanye West wins Wyoming in a landslide.
Have you watched some of his stuff?
I saw part of his interview with Rogan. It was pretty whack. What have you seen of him recently?
He is the only candidate in the field that's crazier than Trump.
Oh yeah, it's not even close. It's not even close.
Like he's way on the Christian conservative side of things, like something you would never expect to see if you listen to his music, but just like way off base. Everything's tied to God, this and that. It's like, holy crap, when did Kanye become a born again Christian?
Well, he had an album out a couple years ago, or was it a couple years ago, called what was it? Well, he's had a few that are like references. Obviously, all of them are like references to Christianity. But he had an album called like Jesus is King, I think it is. Yeah, Jesus is King from 2019. And yeah, he's all on the whole Christian rap sort of thing. And yeah, no, we got Billy Bung. He says, I'm dressing like a based walrus. My tusks are fierce and mustache glorious. Yeah, no, we were talking about the walrus stuff last night, actually. Like, because when John Bolton comes on the show at some point down the road, when we get that interview going, just be like, yo, here's Billy Bung's video. Was that actually you? Did you actually sink that Russian ship? You know, because there was the walrus that took down a ship in the Arctic about a year ago. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, they are pretty big. Like,
oh, they're huge. Yeah, you don't want to mess with walruses.
Makes you wonder how they evolved.
Or did they? Or maybe the hot gods just created them to mess with the Russians. You know. Yeah, Billy Bung's like, I created that meme. Yeah, no, that's dope. Yeah, Billy Bung has some very good memes. Everybody go subscribe to Billy Bung on YouTube and follow him on Twitter at Bong Redux. Natalie says there needs to be a moratorium on people from the entertainment industry in public office. Damn near all of them are complete jokes. Yeah. I mean,
that's a fair point. Whether it's Mark Cuban or even Elon Musk lately, that guy's gone off the deep end as well.
That's right. His tweets over the last 6 months have been something else.
Yeah. Then Lady Gaga posted a video today that was like cringe. Like what goes through these people's minds? Like
I didn't see that, but granted, I believe you. Basically, everything she does is cringe and fringe. So
she dressed up like a redneck next to a truck, started talking in a weird accent, telling people to vote for Biden. Took a sip of a beer, smashed it, threw it on the ground. That was the video.
Oh, I see it right now. Yeah, 1.6 million views. Of course. Yeah, no, she's overrated. I mean, it's just, wow. What a mess.
But yeah, all the people from the entertainment industry, because we had the videos where they talking, and it's like, yeah, I mean, you guys are entitled to your opinion, and you guys are people. You're not just entertainers. Yeah. But you should really think things through.
That's right. So, you know, the election's coming up. I do want to cut the stream pretty soon because I'm pretty tired and I got a lot of stuff to do and whatnot. But it's been a good Halloween stream. I want to ask you, though, who are you rooting for in the election as of now? And who do you think is going to win?
So I think it's a toss-up. Like, I posted something today with, like, there's like 171 electoral votes that were within the margin of error on either side.
That's like a third of them, isn't it? Like,
yeah, but I think Biden has like 225 or so, like either likely, leaning, or solid blue.
Okay.
And then Trump only has, I want to say 42 that are likely solid. So I think it's leaning towards Biden. As far as like the Wyoming Senate, I know the Wyoming Senate's not going to go the way I want it to. I like the Democratic candidate in the Wyoming Senate. I think as far as like who to root for, because I live in Wyoming, Trump's going to win Wyoming. So, but I think Biden will win overall. But if Biden doesn't win, I'm prepared to watch all the meltdowns from the left.
Well, I think they're going to melt down. I think they're going to melt down if Biden wins, though, like the progressives are, because it means that they can't do their whole, yeah, but Bernie would have won thing. Like, because if Biden wins without them, then Bernie has no reason. Like, it's over for the progressives at that point. I think they're going to be more triggered if Biden wins than if Trump wins, because they'll feel like they still have like a place if Trump wins to be like, oh, you should listen to us. But if Biden wins, who should have listened to them,
And it'll be fun to see kind of the far right people if Biden wins too, and the kind of their meltdown. And
for sure, they will melt down too.
But they're not going to be as eccentric as some of the people you see on the far left, like Kyle Kalinski's, the Cenk Uygurs,
Jimmy.
Well, Jimmy's voting for the Green Party, so.
Oh, of course he is. What a goofball. Oh man. Wait, well, Kyle is the Green Party. Look at his set.
Yeah.
It's all green. It's all goblin green.
He's actually doing a stream with Joe Rogan and Alex Jones.
That's right, with Alex Jones. With Alex Jones. Because when I heard that it was going to be Kyle and Rogan streaming the election, I was like, oh, well, that's going to be goofy. But then Alex Jones joins in on the fun. Because Alex Jones is going to be talking about like his alpacas and atrazine in the water and gay frogs and 9/11. And Kyle's going to be talking about wars for oil and the deep states and the establishment. And Rogan's going to be talking about like drugs and sports, I guess. Oh man, no, I'll be streaming the election. Watch this channel. Don't watch those guys. Those guys you can watch those guys after. Watch Superpower Broadcasting live election.
Well, so. Yeah, and then you could have some tabs open too and open up their streams and watch their streams and react to their streams as well.
That's right, yeah, because we can screen share on StreamYard. That's right. That's right. It'll be fun. And of course, you're welcome on the panel, of course, obviously. I'll be streaming for hours that day. That's probably going to be the longest stream on the channel. So, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. Like, getting back to that Rogan thing, I bet Kyle is going to be awfully quiet because there's very few times where he's actually been in like a conversation with somebody like to the extent of Alex Jones, who could keep him on his toes a little bit with like this wacky and quirky or out of nowhere stuff. Because a lot of his stuff on his channel and a lot of the debates is he gets pre-prepared talking points. But with Alex Jones, you can't do that because he comes clear out of left field and clear out of the universe. And so I think he's going to be very quiet and just interject here and there. And when he gets called out on stuff from Alex Jones, I think he's not going to be able to punch him back as hard as he normally does because he's just got to stick to his talking points.
Yeah, no, you're right about the left field thing because like Alex Jones, he's the kind of guy who like 1 second you'll be talking about whatever the issue is at hand that's relevant. And then he'll bring up like bisexual CIA Mossad dolphins or something. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, and you're not going to be able to Google that right there. And so you're
like, yeah, let me just Google bisexual CIA Mossad dolphins and see what they're saying about that. And it's like, there's just like one 4chan post. That's all you can find.
Yeah.
Imagine losing to Alex Jones. That's Arthur. Yeah, it'll be an interesting night for sure. Natalie says that she intends to stay up for the election. Well, I'll be streaming probably very early that day. Like I'll probably start streaming at like 4:00 Eastern time, that kind of time range. It'll be like the earliest stream I've ever done, probably. So, yeah,
it's going to be a good time. I go to just talk to my boss. I'll probably take Wednesday off of work and try to stay up all night for the stream and the election. So Because the last election, I like, oh, I'm gonna stay up and watch the election, and it didn't get called till like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had to be to work at 6 o'clock in the
Oh
morning.
man, yeah.
So I think taking the day after the election off is going to be the best route to go.
Yeah, because the election's Tuesday, November 3rd, but you're right. It could go late into the morning. That's a good point. Like, we'll see. Because it could be very close. This idea that Joe Biden has an 89% chance of winning or whatever. Like, come on, dude. Like, you don't believe that? I don't believe that. Does anybody really believe that? Like,
well, so they calculate the numbers to say, well, because there is math behind the numbers that they're putting out there.
yeah.
But what people don't realize is like there's still 11% chance that that result doesn't happen. They'll be like, oh, well, they said 89%. Well, there's still a chance that this happens. Like the NFL is an example. There's a team in the NFL that's had a 98% chance of winning in like 3 different games and lost all 3 of them. It doesn't mean that it can't happen. It just means it's less than likely to happen.
Right. Well, it'll be interesting. And definitely thanks for coming on, Jaeger. I do want to wrap things up right now, though, because I'll be streaming tomorrow, of course, and everything. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a good Halloween, everybody. I know it's like not even Halloween for, I guess, the eastern part of the coast and stuff right now. But thanks for being here. Be sure to go and follow Jaeger. Jaeger's on Twitter at Jaeger DePato, and you can follow him on YouTube too at Jaeger DePato. And you've done some videos, obviously covering the conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Those are interesting. You've done interviews and stuff. So everybody, go subscribe to Jaeger. We have an interesting troll in the chat right now, though. Your hero, Michael Bolton. That's pretty funny. That. Because some brainlet wrote on Reese's channel, oh, yeah, your hero, Michael Bolton. It turns out Michael Bolton is a real dude. He, makes songs.
Yeah.
Michael Bolton. That's...
So, yeah. So, yeah, just closing statement thoughts.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys take your medication. You got to take the Hawk pill. You got to take the Nuke pill and the new and improved Brain Force drone pill.
We need drone pilled memes then, because we got Hawk pilled memes, we got Nuke in the background. We need drone pilled memes. Somebody's got to make drone pilled memes. Oh man!
But just take your medication.
That's right. Oh man. Well, if you guys want to support the streams and everything and help out my channel here, you can check out my Patreons in the link in the description below. It's patreon.com/superpowerbroadcasting. Once we hit $100 a month, I'll be releasing daily pre-recorded videos, premiering to YouTube, plus the daily live streams, so double the content each day. And, we're over 2/3 the way there. Additionally, if you just want to send me a tip, and help offset the cost of all the new computer and all that kind of stuff, my PayPal is in the description as well. And a huge thanks to all the existing patrons and the PayPal gang. You guys are awesome. Stay based and keep on rocking in the free world. So have a happy Halloween, everybody, and have a good night. Peace.
Adios.